Hello. In this video, we are going to look at the components of metro station, how metro station is built, what all is there in the metro station, and how do we end in terms of the types of things which are available in the metro station. Now, most of you would have seen metro station from the outside. Most of you would also seen from the inside when you go buy a ticket or buy a pass and get into the metro station. So this is where we should be looking at multiple facets which are available in a metro station. So first thing I would say is next time you get into metro, kindly observe the things that are being explained in this video to make sure you understand the construction of metro station in a very better way. Now this is a very simple example or a simple photograph of how the metro station looks during construction, and this level is called as the concourse level or the level at which the transactions happen. Alright, so in the next slide, we'll be looking at the components of metro station, and in detail, we'll be looking at what each thing means. So here, the first component that we look at is the levels of the metro station. When we talk about levels, that means instead of floor, we call it a level. So there is a ground floor, there is concourse level, there is platform level, and in some metro station, there is something called as the deck level as well. Deck level comes in the first landing of the staircase between the ground floor and the concourse level. So ground level and the concourse level are the two major parts of the metro station. And of course, on the platform level, you will be having just the platform and the track, and it will be taking huge amount of dynamic load and the vibratory load as well. Coming to the components inside the metro station, very important component is the pump room. Now for pump, it might be for water, it might also have not just for water, might also be something to do with rainwater harvesting, it might be something to do with recycling. Some metro stations also have landscaping parts. That is why you require pump room to make sure the sanitary plumbing as well as the recycled water and the rain collected water is being pumped for the right use of the station. The next we look at ticket office or ticketing office. So this is where majority of us would go buy the ticket, paying a price, and take the card or the token required for the metro. From the ticket office, this is happening in the concourse level. All right. So in the concourse level is where you look at the ticket. Then we go for ASS, TSS rooms. Now, SS means substation. So ASS is auxiliary substation and TSS is tractional substation. Now, these are station rooms or substational rooms where we have equipments which takes care of the entire procedure of handling of the machineries and equipments which are available in the metro station. Now, that is something that is very important to understand. This is the biggest room that will be there in the concourse level. I will, of course, demonstrate the whole thing in the plan as well. The next we go for is the paid area and unpaid area. Now, what is the difference between paid area and unpaid area? Unpaid area is an area in the metro station in the concourse level and ground level where anyone can come and walk or anyone can enter. The paid area is the area you enter after scanning the pass or the token or the ticket. Now that is the paid area. Of course, in the plan, it will be very detailedly explained. Next, we have signaling rooms to understand at what time the metro is coming to the station, at what time it is leaving, how many minutes left, how many minutes are not there, which are the 6 bogie ones, which are the 9 bogie ones. All those things will be happening in signaling rooms. In case there is any problem with the sensor on the track, or is there any problem with the track, the signaling groups will be getting all the information, and those rooms will be responsible for the smooth handling of the metros in the metro station. Next, we have control room, which is slightly similar to what happens in the signaling room. However, this is more to do with not just the control of the metro rail, but also the control of the station itself, considering the public as well. Next, we have telecom equipment room. This is where the metro stations are in contact with each other. If there is any difference in terms of the timings which is shown in one station versus the timings in the other station. And this is very important. All these rooms will have machinery, and that is why these machinery I will not be explaining. I'll just be mentioning those types of rooms which will be in the metro station. Next, of course, very common is the washrooms. So there are multiple washrooms. One will be for the gents, one for the ladies, and a different washroom for the staff. In staff also there is a gents washroom and ladies washroom. However, in some metro stations across the European countries, there is a unisex washrooms for the staff as well. The last component and very important component is the generator room, because power is not guaranteed, especially in India. So they will have very high power generator to make sure the metro station runs. If not the metro station, at least the compulsory or the most mandatory high priority equipments that needs to run to make sure there is a smooth working of the metro works. So just to give you in more detail, now this is how we look at the section of a metro station. This is again a very general drawing. So you have the plinth level or the ground level where you have the entry and exit. Then at the first landing of the flight or the staircase flight to the concourse level, you will have the deck level. In some metro stations, there are a couple of shops and there is some commercial aspect in the deck level. But most metro stations, nothing will be there in the deck level. Next, we come into concourse level, and that is where your tickets, your rooms, your equipment room, ASS, TSS, paid area, unpaid area, the majority of the works come under concourse level. And then we go for the platform level, and there is also a different level called as off roof level. That is where you will have the water tanks and all the things that is required. Let's say a solar panel, all those things in the roof level. But major, you will have the platform level. Now, this is how we can understand the section of the metro station. Next, we look at a very simple plan. You might not have the clarity. I'll be showing through the cursor here. All right. So here, if you look at, you have telecom equipment room in the last left side. Post that, you have the store room, then you have the lunch room, telecom operator room, and station control room. So all those things will be in terms of either equipment or control. In the downside of the left hand side, you have the battery rooms for the batteries for the metro, as well as for the machineries and signaling equipments in the metro station. Then you have signaling equipment rooms. You have the station manager room as well. So that is where you look at the manager. They will be in the station manager room if there is any fight, if there is any query, if there is any concern, or if there are any inspections happening from the multiple regulatory authorities of the government. Next, in middle, we have the washrooms as well. Now, if you look in detail, you have something called as concourse unpaid area. Now, that is where you have the public enter the metro station. And here you have the TO or the ticket office or ticketing office. Once you take the ticket, you go and you can look at the arrows. On the right hand side, you have the entry and the exit. And post entry and the exit, whatever comes on the right side will be the paid area, concourse paid area. That access only people who have paid for the metro can access for that part of the metro station. So these are some of the images of live metro station. So this is a image of a metro station in Bangalore, which fortunately I was a part of. I was a planning manager for this metro station. Here, if you see, the wall height is very high. So these are things that might not occur in residential buildings. That is why I put up this photograph, because this is very curious to know. The wall height is almost 30 feet, 28 feet precise at some areas. So when you're having walls at such high level, you cannot just have columns. You also need to have horizontal beams, and you also need to have something called as mullions. So if you look here, you can see that vertical columns have been casted, or at least the shuttering has been done. Correct. So these vertical columns, these are not exactly columns, these are called as mullions. These are small scale which act like column, but they are not the structural part of the whole structure. They are the structural part of only the masonry. This concrete structure will help the masonry to stick together because the wall height is very high. Because of the wind loads and the vibration that the masonry will take in a metro station, it is very, very important to make sure we have the horizontal beams as well as the vertical mullions in the masonry work. Here you can see on top of the scaffolding, there is a horizontal beam as well. So we had to do sill beam, plinth beam, and horizontal beam on top of around 14, 15 feet to make sure you get the vertical support and the horizontal support as well. So this kind of structure will happen only if the wall height is very high without having any slab in between. And that is why I chose this photo, so that this is very specific to airports and metro stations or some of the other big infrastructure projects. Very rarely seen in residential projects, because in residential the maximum height will be around 20, 30. Even though if it is 20, 30 feet, there will be normally a mezzanine floor as well. Now coming and looking at this is almost a outside part. Here you might not be able to see the beams, the horizontal beams and the mullions because it is finished. But if you observe here, on top you have the platform level. The photo that we are taking, that level is the concourse level. So you can see the huge difference in terms of the height from outside as well. And here there is another observation that needs to be made is on the truss. Very important that rainwater harvesting has been done. Now, if you look at the finish of the product also, you can see the section as well. There is blockwork, plaster, thick plaster, around 20 plaster, and of course the painting layers, first coat, second coat, primer, putty, all those things. Very rarely do we use chajjas in metro. One, because of aesthetics, second, because of the louvers. Now if you look at all the aluminum horizontal bars that is there in the windows, those are called as louvers. So louvers will be used in these kind of projects as well. So in metro station, it is very important for us to understand the components of metro station. In ground level, we'll have the pump room. And when you go up, generator room sometimes in the ground level or sometimes in the concourse level, depending on the different design. So we had in one station, we had in the concourse because of the traffic problem at below, because it's Bangalore end of the day. Apart from that, majority of our stations had pump room and diesel generator room in the ground level itself. And then in the concourse, I showed the plan. According to the plan, we had to do multiple rooms. Again, one thing that we need to understand is just the slab is not enough. That is why we had a different treatment on top of the slab to make sure the vibration is absorbed properly. Because one thing is very important in metro station, it has to absorb the vibration, because the metro will cause a lot of vibration. So just a normal slab is not enough. That is why we had a concept called as VDF, or vacuum dewatered flooring, in equipment rooms and in the normal floor, which is unpaid area and paid area. Here in the unpaid area and paid area, we had screed concreting, and in the rooms, equipment rooms, we had vacuum dewatered flooring or VDF. The purpose of this was to make sure it absorbs all the vibration and it doesn't send the vibration to the slab itself. So this is a very special treatment given to those components where you have a lot of vibration loads and lot of seismic loads as well acting on the part of the structure. So these are a couple of components of a metro station that we need to understand. Here again, if you see the escalator portion, one is the fitting of it, second is the transportation of it. The reason why I have put this image is because sometimes the support to the escalator here might be from RCC, sometimes even steel structure. Here you can see the steel girder, but the support is concrete because we are curing it. But in multiple places, you can have directly on a RCC staircase slab or a ramp slab itself, or sometimes the escalators will also be on a steel supported structure. So this is something that can be varied across the projects as well. So this is how you can understand various components of the construction of a metro station. On the top or on the platform level, you will have no rooms as such, a couple of inquiry counters or kiosks. Apart from that, you will have basically the trucks, the rainwater harvesting. Sometimes you will also have some or the other inquiry room, but that is not mandatory. That depends on the metro design. Right here, if you look at it, this was one of the first stations where we had clay bricks instead of blockwork, either concrete block or lightweight or AEC blocks. So we had porotherm clay bricks here just to increase the aesthetics of the metro station. Sometimes you can have total steel structure also. The metro station in Riyadh or in Dubai is majorly steel structure, and even that works out as well. Now, this is the simple understanding of components available in a metro station. In the next video, we'll be looking at what are the civil and finishing works, majorly finishing works of a metro station. So see you in the next video.